How about now? Yeah. Hello, here we are. Welcome. Hey, how about that? We are live with the first episode of the Laughing Pirate podcast. My name is Zach, aka Captain Zachavius, and I am joined by my partner in crime, the one and only Laughing Hydra. Welcome to the podcast, Laughing Hydra.
Hello. Hello, Zach. Captain Zach, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I am. Couldn't be better. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we had a really busy weekend and a really awesome weekend this past weekend at Gen Con, and we are going to dive right into it, talk about everything that we did. Before we do that, I think we should probably talk a little bit about ourselves and what we're up to and what we're doing. And I will let you go first. Tell the audience. I know the answer, but tell the audience a little bit more about what you do, Laughing Hydra.
Okay, so I'm an avid gamer, gamer dad. and I create content videos based upon either product reviews. We do some pack openings. Module reviews, let's plays. So mainly focused around RPGs, mainly tabletop RPGs. So we're gonna do a lot of like Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, a little bit of tabletop board games mixed in. And yeah, I'm just trying to bring everybody some information upon games that I've played, games that I enjoy, and try to share that with the world.
Awesome. And I'm a super big fan of what you're doing and your content, and we are both come from basically a mastermind group of people that kind of support each other with their entrepreneurial endeavors. That's how we met. At least we met online, and you and I actually met up at Gen Con in real life for the first time. So that was super cool. It was awesome to meet you. For the audience, a little bit more about myself. My name is Zach, and I am currently creating a NFT card game. It's a physical and digital card game. And the point of this is to really embrace the physical side of it and embrace the game side of it. So I really want to make it a good game. I'm very inspired by Magic the Gathering and other traditional paper trading card games, and I want to create an awesome game. And this is kind of part of my experience was going to Gen Con, talking to people like you, and that's kind of what I'm working on. So when you see my content on this YouTube channel and my other social channels, I'm either talking a lot about existing card games like Magic the Gathering, or my process that I'm documenting creating the game that I'm making now. So if you're interested in that aspect, please follow along with me. And then, of course, a little bit more about the podcast is basically here for both of us or either of us to talk about, whatever really kind of interests us, whatever's going on at the moment in regard to either of the kind of areas that we're working in, which are very heavily overlapped. So for those wondering what this podcast is going to be like in the future, it's not planned, not set in stone. We're kind of going to figure out what's going to happen with it as we go along. But to give you an idea, it'll be stuff about gaming, about board games, about tabletop RPGs, potentially Web3 stuff, projects that have a physical and digital component. All of that kind of stuff is going to be what you will hear about on this channel. And of course, we are always listening to our audience feedback as well. So we really encourage you to engage with us, especially this early on. Episode 1 of the podcast, whatever you say you want to see is really going to help us kind of bring you value and bring you content that you want to hear. So please leave us comments wherever you're seeing this. There should be some kind of comment button, or find us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, you name it. We're everywhere. So definitely want to hear from you guys about what you want to see. But without further ado, we'll kind of jump into the podcast itself, talk about Gen Con, and to give the audience a little perspective here. The first thing I want you to tell everyone, and tell me, I actually don't know the answer to this, what is your favorite game or games in general, and what if they were at Gen Con or not?
Yeah, sure. So as I mentioned earlier, I think my two favorite games are definitely Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons. There's a lot to both of them. The nostalgia alone holds dear to my heart, as many as I'm sure as it does to many other players. And there was a plethora of both at Gen Con. I was able to play. I played a lot of drafts. I kind of wish that there was a little bit more constructed support at Gen Con for Magic the Gathering. And many other people that I talked to also said the same. And I mean, no fault to Pastimes. Pastimes, I think, did an absolutely outstanding job hosting the events. I played in 3 drafts. All of them were very good. The judges were very responsive. The tournaments flowed very well. There was nice prize support. I enjoyed playing in them. But I know many living in the Chicagoland area, I knew quite a few Magic players that were down there, and many of them kind of wish that there were more constructed support. I know a couple of players that came all the way down from the Chicagoland area to play like Modern, for example, and there were only a few set larger scale tournaments. So something I'd like to see in the future, I guess, would be some more like they used to do the Win-A-Box. So as soon as 8 people fired up, you play some modern single elimination. First prize got a box of whatever the current set was, and second place got half a box. Even something like that, I think, would be absolutely outstanding. And then
That's actually really cool. I didn't realize that was what I was when you first started saying that. What I was going to suggest was something like the draft, on demand 8-player pod, and I'm surprised that they did that and they stopped doing that. Do you know why they would have stopped?
I don't. I mean, maybe it's possible that there wasn't a lot of support for it. I don't know if the product became too expensive where people stopped playing, but I know I've been going to Gen Con since the late '90s, and that was actually like one of the more popular things that people would play. And I personally don't understand why they wouldn't do that. I would hope that they continue, and maybe I'll put that in their suggestion box.
Awesome. Yeah. And I think I kind of cut you off. Was there something else you were trying to say after that?
Yeah. So, and then to diverse away from Magic a little bit, some Dungeons and Dragons. There was an entire hotel, the entire Marriott was basically set up for D&D, which was awesome considering that Gary Gygax, the founder of Gen Con, and also the founder of basic tabletop wargaming, one of the co-creators of D&D, would be very proud that D&D's presence is remaining as strong as it is at Gen Con, as I believe it's one of the pillars that built the convention. I was able to play a game from Cobalt Press. It was a brand new module that I believe the module wasn't even released yet, and one of the writers of the module DM'd for us. So that was absolutely outstanding. I played some. I'm not too familiar with Cobalt Press. I just wanted to try something new, dip my toes in the water, and it was everything I thought it would be and more. It was absolutely outstanding. It was quite a good experience.
Awesome. Well, I'll talk a little bit more about my favorite games. I come from a background where I was actually a chess player. I played competitive chess when I was a kid, and that really sort of cemented my love for tabletop based strategy competitive games. It's really kind of what I lean towards is the more competitive ones. But as hobby tabletop gaming has grown over the past 20 years or whatever, I kind of slowly came into that, and I've been a big fan of all sorts of different tabletop games. One of my favorite games is actually my arguably my intro game to hobby gaming. I played chess before this. I played Magic and Pokemon and stuff before this. But my intro game to tabletop was Twilight Imperium 3rd Edition, which is not what I would recommend as a intro game for anyone. But
Right in the deep water.
yeah, and here's the funny thing about it. It wasn't even that somebody like talked me into playing it. The funniest story here is that I actually went to a game store like once with my dad. Like my dad took me out to the mall. We went to like Air Traffic or whatever. I don't know if there's air traffic everywhere, but that was what it was at my local mall. It was a game store. And my dad was like kind of concerned that I was like a shut-in nerd kind of guy that didn't, get out and like socialize, and he thought that was like a important skill to have growing up, and he was, he's right. So definitely don't fault him there. And he was like, "Listen, I want you to just find a board game that looks good that you can play with your friends," and wanting me to socialize in real life with people, not just be on the internet. And I looked at the wall of games, knowing nothing about them, knowing nothing about hobby gaming, and I looked at the big box with the spaceships on it, and I was like, "That's the one for me. I like that one." And turned out that that's one of the most long and complicated tabletop board games that you can play. And I hit it right on the head. And despite that, it was I really enjoyed the challenge of jumping into it, learning all of it, reading the rule book several times over, and then having to teach my friends. So that was kind of my intro to the hobby, and I just kind of went from there. So I was glad to see that at the convention. I didn't play it; it's a long game, and I didn't want to spend all that time. And there's a lot of other stuff to see. So that's one of my favorite games. And then I've been really into Magic. Played a whole lot of digital arena Magic, and just in the past couple of months, actually, I've been getting into back into paper Magic. Which is what I learned, 15 years ago. So 17 years ago, I don't know. I don't want to count the years. But
we
yeah,
won't hold you
so
to it.
yeah. So basically, yeah, I think my first new set that I bought when it was coming out was the first Rakdos. So that dates me a little bit. You could probably figure out about how old I am, but that's what it was. So,
And no slouch to Magic, huh? Because somebody qualified for the Gen Con championship.
Yeah, spoiler alert, qualified for the championship. We'll get into that a little bit more later, but yeah. So as someone who's designing a trading card game, I really wanted to dive headfirst into Magic and really like understand the scene top to bottom, and there's everything Magic there. I mean, even though technically there's not like an official Wizards of the Coast Magic, obviously there's still a whole lot of Magic stuff there to see and do. So I was really glad that was there. So that was those are a couple of my favorite games. I could talk a whole lot about all the other games that I like, but let's jump right into kind of my next point of discussion here, which is what was your favorite kind of scheduled event or scheduled thing that you did? And I think you kind of maybe talked about it already, if it was the RPG thing or if it was something else. Well, which one was it?
Actually, it was the unboxing event. So it was the very first thing, Thursday morning at 8 o'clock. Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman released a new Dragonlance book, and I was there for the release party, and it was a very special moment. It's kind of like what I imagine Gen Con being at its creation point, and they actually went into some of that stuff. It was very awesome. I was born in '84, which is when Dragons of Autumn Twilight came out, which is like many people's introductory to Dungeons and Dragons and fantasy reading, period. And it was kind of like a big callback to that. They talked a lot about like their creation process, how things were at TSR, and then led into the new book. So I got the book, I waited in line, got it signed, met Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, and honestly, I'll remember that for the rest of my days. It was very special to me.
That's awesome. That's super great to hear. And yeah, the thing that really struck me about Gen Con is just the humongously wide variety of events and things that there are to do. I've never really, I've been to a lot of conventions, but nothing has even come close to this in terms of all the events. So is my first time at Gen Con. I don't know if I said that yet. You've been there for forever, and this was my very first one. So that was really the thing that's kind of stuck out to me about the convention. I would say my favorite scheduled, I mean, it's going to be kind of generic, but as you alluded to, I did qualify for the championship, and that was fun. But I think the tournament that I won, which was a Breach of New Capenna sealed event, was probably my favorite event that I did, because I went undefeated. Two wins and a draw qualified me for the championships. So that
feels good to win.
Yeah, and that was a really cool event. And believe it or not, that was the first time I've ever played sealed in my life. Or like maybe I did it once on Arena, but that was my first sealed event. Now, that said, I have drafted New Capenna a lot on Arena. So I knew the set really well. I knew how the mechanics interacted. I knew like what the strong, color combinations were. So I had a lot of knowledge going into it. It wasn't like I was a total newbie to it. But as far as like actual sealed, it was new to me, and it went obviously it went pretty well. So pretty happy with how I did there.
The demons of New Capenna were on your side.
Exactly, the demons of New Capenna were very much on my side. And the cool thing about the Magic events in general was that it seemed like, if you did the more competitive, like the qualifiers and this, the big stuff, there were better players. But if you didn't want something so competitive, or you didn't want, to have to face only really good opponents, there did seem like there was a pretty wide variety of skill levels and like types of events to do. I'll throw out there. I didn't get to do it, but I kind of almost wish that I did. There was a morning. What did they call it? Booster Madness or something like that. I can't remember what they called it, but it was basically
The
a
mystery?
four. No,
Was
it
it the
wasn't
mystery
Mr. Booster. It
boosters?
was like they they gave everybody one booster pack, and then for free, it was a free entry. You got a booster pack out of it, and then you basically like shuffled your booster pack with. I don't know if you had like a side deck of lands, or you got to pick some lands to like put in it, and you play like a quick game with just that one booster pack. Um, and that was really weird. Like you just like play your booster pack, and then if you win, you go on. If you lose, you're knocked out. And then in the next round, you open another booster pack and you add it to the first one. So you have a totally random deck of random cards. So it's not as competitive as like a limited event where you're constructing a deck out of a pool.
Sure.
But that was really interesting, and I saw that while I was doing one of my other morning events. And just kind of a silly event that's I think definitely has more appeal to a player that isn't as competitive. Another one that I did do that was a little bit kind of a sillier event was the all play sealed event. So there were 6 packs, and I think I have a picture of the packs I can find. But there were 6 packs, and you just shuffled your 6 packs together, and you basically had 5. You had each of the basic lands out in front of you in like a pile in the middle of the table, and yeah, so you basically got to play one basic land from any pile per turn, and then the rest of your deck was just 6 packs shuffled together, and you just had a totally like random set of cards. And I don't think you can see this, Larry, but I should be able to put this up on the screen where.
Yeah, I remember. I walked by and I caught the tail end of you playing. It was quite the scene to behold.
Yeah, so I put a photo of the packs up on the screen. It was 1 Innistrad, Midnight Hunt, 1 Crimson Vow, 2 Kamigawa, and 2 New Capenna packs. So that was cool, and just like a regular sealed event, got to keep all those cards as well. So it was a cool event. Yeah, so that was my favorite scheduled event that I did. And then the next question I was going to ask was that what was your favorite sort of like unscheduled or unplanned thing that ended up happening that you did or saw or anything like that?
Okay, so I'm gonna cheat a little bit here. So I had an unscheduled event. I played Ultimate Werewolf. However, in the back of my mind's eye, I did decide that I wanted to play it at Gen Con. I've been going to Gen Con for many years, and every time I'd be walking out of there late at night, just beaten to a pulp from all the awesome events and just um, brain overload of all the awesomeness that happens at Gen Con. And I was just always so tired to play. And this year I made it a point to play some Ultimate Werewolf, and it was a terrific game. I had such a blast, and it was actually added to my buy queue. So I highly recommend if you ever go to Gen Con, you should check out some Ultimate Werewolf. You'll probably meet some very interesting people. I mean, just an entire hallway with had to be at least 200 chairs set up, and the game just continuously goes. So if you get eliminated from one game, you can just hop right in, and then there's another game starting. So it's a very interesting thing. Kind of unique. I mean, the game itself I know is played all over the place, but I think that the experience of this huge game is very unique to Gen Con, and it's kind of a treasure.
Yeah, and you were telling me a little bit about the werewolf before we went, and I thought that was really interesting. I had kind of like maybe wanted to try to get into some kind of game, but my schedule just didn't work out. And as like a side note, I honestly feel like I could spend like 6 months at Gen Con and just do something different every day and find something new and interesting just because there's that much stuff to do. Like it was crazy. Like,
Yes.
there was so much stuff going on. So
Yes. Easily.
it doesn't matter how long they make it. I'm always going to be disappointed at the end. My favorite unscheduled thing that I did was probably gonna sound a little bit cliche, but like just the exhibitor hall in general, I think was kind of like my favorite experience that I had. It was lots and lots of different people that were interesting to me in all sorts of ways. I'll talk a little bit more about. There's a question later about one of those experiences, but I talked to artists, I talked to designers, I talked to publishers, I talked to manufacturers, and as someone that's I'm coming into kind of the design, board game design industry from a perspective of someone who's basically just played games and not really designed them. One thing I wanted to learn was just all sorts of the stuff about the industry and how it works, and everyone there was extremely helpful and willing to answer questions for me and gave me some really valuable info. So I think that was a really cool experience, and I bought some stuff too, not as much as some other people, but I definitely spent some money while I was there. Got some cool stuff, and I think that's actually the next question on. Actually, okay, we'll go out of order here, and we'll go to that one as the next question, which is the favorite thing that you bought while you were at Gen Con.
Okay, so I splurged a little bit. It's a little bit of a combo. So I went to Wormwood and I bought it's a dice vault. So it's essentially a very beautifully custom carved hunk of wood with magnets in it. I decided I got the black walnut. It was like one of their lower mid tier options, but the wood is just absolutely beautiful. And then I ended up going to Level Up Dice, and I bought a set of raised obsidian dice, which is something that I kind of always wanted. And yeah, I'm very, very happy with my purchase. I wish I could have bought the dice from Wormwood. I voiced my opinion, but the six-sided dice had their logo on the dice as the one. It was either the one or the six. I can't really remember right now off the top of my head, actually. But I mean, as beautiful as their products are, and I know that they're proud of their brand. If I'm spending, 70, 80, 90, $100 plus on dice, I don't want a logo on my one. So Level Up Dice did not have it, so I just decided to go with that option, and they were crafted absolutely beautifully.
I see. Well, I'm glad you found some dice that you like. I'm always like, I've been resisting the temptation to buy dice because you look at dice and they're so pretty and you're like, oh man, I really need these dice. I don't play D&D or any sort of tabletop stuff often enough for me to like really say that it's worth it to buy fancy dice. So I have mostly like cheap dice. But despite that, whenever I see them, I still want to buy them. And I've had to resist so far. But yeah, I'm glad you found some awesome dice. I would say the favorite thing that I bought was I actually I went and found like a big organizer box for some of my Magic cards. I didn't have anything to like put them in yet, so I got kind of a fancy box and ended up with like a the standard little cardboard box too. But the fancy one I think is my favorite thing just because it was really helpful to keep everything organized and make sure it all got back in my luggage and safe and sound and got back home safe and all that. So definitely a pragmatic thing. I bought some like posters and a t-shirt and stuff too, but yeah, there was very tempting to buy a lot of the games that were there. And honestly, I would have if I had brought enough like luggage space for them because I had to fly home. It was like yeah, I didn't have space to chuck it in my suitcase, so that kept me from going overboard. And I don't know, maybe next year I might have to bring a suitcase just for games and kind of deal with the expense at a later date. But
yeah, maybe some sort of like a buy now ship home option with some of the vendors could be
yeah,
a possible boon for them.
do they not have anything like that? I'm curious.
I'm sure every vendor has their own, their own sales model. A lot of them are larger vendors, so you could just go online. But there was definitely some Gen Con exclusives that did sell out. So things
Yeah.
like that, I think that you were just you had to buy it there or wait.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting for them to like have like a centralized convention, like shipping specials, something like that. I think it'd be cool. But regardless, we got all of our stuff home, and that's the important part. Except for my mug. I lost my mug. I don't know if I told you that.
Oh no!
Yeah. I sat
No, I
down at
did not
the
know that.
Star Realms booth at the end of the day on Saturday, or at the end of exhibit hall close on Saturday. And I was playing the Star Realms demo of their legacy game that they have on Kickstarter right now, and I had to like rush out of there because I played right until exhibit hall closed, and I forgot my cup, and it was not there when I came back the next day. So, oh well.
Oh,
But it's fine. It wasn't the coolest thing that I bought by any means. So, in fact, if I was gonna lose anything that I bought, it probably would be that, because it's pretty easy to get
okay,
another one if I need to. Um.
sure.
Anyway, what's the next thing we're going to talk about? Oh, the favorite person that you met while you were there, besides
I'm
me.
gonna cheat. That's what I was gonna say. That was a easy peasy. All right.
Gotcha.
So yeah. Besides Zach, I mean, could I still do a combo? Could I do Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, since they co-wrote the book and I got to meet them?
Yeah.
I would say that was. I don't want to give any more love to one or the other. I like them or love them both dearly. As always, they've influenced me so much and brought me so much joy. I'm actually re-listening. Um,
Nice. Uh,
so yeah, they've both brought me so much joy. It's I'm very fortunate to have met them.
that's good. I'm glad you got to meet them. I would say the favorite person that I met, besides you, of course, was I got to meet Justin Gary, who designed Ascension, and he was there promoting his new game, Soulforge Fusion, which he worked on with Richard Garfield, which was really cool. That was one of the games I wanted to see, and he was awesome. He probably gave me some of the Oh, I think we lost you. Are you still there? Larry, come home. Please bear with us while we are experiencing technical difficulty. We will wait for him to figure out if he can get back in here. Uh-huh. I'm here. Can you hear me? Can I hear you? Hmm. Oh. Huh. Uh. All right. So Larry can hear me, but we cannot see or hear Larry. Um, Larry, I would say maybe try to like close that window and rejoin with that link I sent you, and it should just pop you back in here. And if not, I can fix it. But I definitely cannot see or hear you at all. Hmm. I will let you know if you show up, but as of right now, you are still not back in the room from what I can tell. Hmm. For anybody watching, we are using a tool called Video Ninja. It's like a lightweight browser-based way to get people together on a call and put it into streaming software. And I've used it a while back, but this is the first time I've been using it recently. Larry, if you can still hear me, try to maybe close your browser, close the tab. I mean, if you have to restart your computer, make sure he knows what's going on. But while we're waiting for Larry to come back, we will. I will give my answer to the question I was on, and I forgot which one it was. Favorite person. Yep. Oh, so I was talking about Justin Gary. So actually, I kind of want to wait for him to get back in here before I tell this. It'll be better. All right. He's actually got to take off, so all good. So let's see if I can't. Switch this up a little bit. We're gonna. Cool. Okay. All right. The show will go on. Go back to my notes here. There they are. Okay. So I got to talk to Justin Gary, original designer of Ascension. He teamed up with Richard Garfield, who designed Magic the Gathering, to make Soulforge Fusion. I got to see him basically, pitch his game, explain the game, and that was really cool. It was really useful to see him jump right into that. I actually got a video of that, which was awesome. I'm gonna have that up, maybe on YouTube and Insta or something in the near future here. But he also gave me a lot of really useful advice as far as being a designer and kind of developing a game and bringing it to market. And I had some questions about the industry and the business side of it, and he was very helpful with everything that I asked him, and that was really, really cool. So I was very glad that I got to talk to him. And I'm gonna cheat and say that game, Soulforge Fusion, is probably the coolest. Well, that and Star Realms Frontiers. I think it's Frontiers. It's their new legacy game for Star Realms, which is a deck building game. I think those were my two kind of cool new games that I learned about that I really liked. I ended up doing the Kickstarter for the Star Realms. I didn't buy Soulforge Fusion, but I still might do it. There's a lot of cool stuff about Soulforge Fusion that I learned talking to Justin. So that was awesome experience to get to talk to him about that. Anything that went wrong? Well, I talked about losing my mug, which was unfortunate. I thought they were like selling little like belt clips and stuff for the mugs, and I was like, I don't need that. I'll be fine. It's probably overpriced. I could get one cheaper later. So I didn't buy it, and I think that if I had that, I probably would not have lost my mug, which is the Wild Bill soda mug. So that went wrong. What else? I didn't plan enough time to eat in a lot of cases. Honestly, I think I would have, in hindsight, probably like packed some snacks and stuff. I went very hungry for a lot of it. There were food trucks outside, but it was sort of like I don't have time to run out to a food truck and get something between rounds of a Magic tournament, or before the next thing I was trying to do closed or started or whatever. So I think carrying some food with me probably is what I would do in the future, and that was kind of, I guess you could say it went wrong, as I got hungry and couldn't eat at certain points. Um, Also, I'm a very like weird schedule of eating. A lot of times I end up eating lunch at like 3 in the afternoon, and then I eat dinner at like 10, 11, whatever. It's just kind of like the schedule that I'm on. I'm flexible with it, but those food trucks left at like, or they closed down at like 9:30 each day, and I almost missed it one day, and I would have been very hungry if I had missed it. So definitely having food is a good thing. Good thing to do. And tips for newcomers. Well, I'm going to repeat some of the tips that Larry gave me when we were talking about it before we went this past weekend, and that was you want to schedule some things and like know which things you really want to do and get those kind of on your schedule, but don't overschedule your stuff. You want to leave some flexibility, some time to like decide to go do this thing or try that thing or play this game or go with someone you just met and talk to them or hang out with them or play a game with them. So don't overschedule. Don't schedule yourself too much stuff and leave yourself some time to kind of figure out, see what happens. I ended up getting a pretty cheap room with some guys I met on the Gen Con Facebook page, and they were great roommates, but it was a little ways out. It was a 25-minute drive with the hotel I was at. They did all the driving, which is super nice. Very thankful for them that they were able to provide transportation. But on the other hand, there's part of me that would have liked to just like be there, like have a hotel that's immediately in that walking distance area. There's plenty that are connected directly to the convention center, and that would have given me a lot more flexibility, and I wouldn't have to run on the same schedule as those guys. And it wasn't bad. Like their schedule worked for me well enough, but still would have been nice. And I think that's my recommendation for any newcomers is if you're like a late night enjoyer, a night owl, that's the phrase I'm looking for, like me, I would say definitely want a hotel at the convention center area. Let's see what else. I think that's it. I think that's kind of all I had to talk about. If you are watching this, I'm going to have some content up soon. Like I said, Justin Gary talking about his game. I'm going to talk about a little bit more about the sealed events that I played in Magic. I'm going to talk about some of the artists I talked to and some artwork that I saw. Lots of content and stuff coming up. So yeah, if you are interested in that, make sure to follow my channel here, and Larry has some content up from Gen Con, and I don't know if he's doing more or not, but follow Laughing Hydra. You've got links down in the description here, and that's about it for the podcast. So thank you for watching, and if you like this, please subscribe, like, follow, blah blah blah. You get the idea. Especially for me, just from my heart, just being honest here, having people that are interested in what I'm doing is going to be extremely helpful to me in terms of designing a game that people really want and really like to play, and making sure it's a great game, and showing other people that I want to bring onto my team that there are people interested in playing this game. When it comes to hiring on or bringing on other people, whether they're investors or players or artists or writers or developers or anything like that, being able to see that there's traction and growing interest in a game is really important. So if you can follow, go to the website, join the Discord, all that good stuff, all of those things help me, and it costs you nothing. So I very much appreciate that. Thank you for watching. Once again, my name is Captain Zachavius, and this has been episode 1 of the Laughing Pirate podcast. I hope to see you again for episode 2.